Good morning. I'm David Baszucki, Chair of the Board of Roblox Corporation, and it is a pleasure to welcome you to Roblox's 2026 Annual Meeting of Stockholders. I will act as Chair of this meeting. I've asked Mark Reinstra, our Chief Legal Officer and Corporate Secretary, to serve as Secretary for this meeting, record the minutes, and conduct the formal portion of the meeting, including the opening and closing of the polls on all matters to be voted at this meeting. We're holding our annual stockholders meeting virtually this year, as authorized by the board and permitted under Nevada law and Roblox's bylaws. Participation through the meeting platform constitutes presence in person at the meeting for purposes of Nevada law. Please note, this meeting is being recorded. We will conduct the business portion of our meeting first and answer questions at the end of the meeting. Please note, we will not be making any presentation on the business or financial condition of the company at this meeting. It is now shortly after 8 a.m. Pacific time on May 28th, and this meeting is officially called to order. Here with me today are 6 members of our board of directors: Gregory Baszucki, Christopher Carvalho, Dennis Durkin, Jason Kylar, Anthony Lee, and Andrea Wong. Also attending this meeting are representatives from Deloitte, our independent auditor, Dan Lee, and Caitlin Liverman. Now, over to Mark to conduct the formal portion of the meeting.
Thank you, Dave. The agenda and rules of conduct are accessible by clicking the Documents tab on the top right of your screen. In order to ensure the business of the meeting proceeds efficiently, we ask that you observe those rules. The annual meeting is being held in accordance with Roblox Articles of Incorporation, bylaws, and Nevada law. During the formal meeting, we will address the matters described in the definitive proxy statement filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission on April 16th, 2026. I have an affidavit confirming that the notice of meeting, proxy statement, and proxy card were mailed and made available on April 16th to stockholders of record as of the April 1st record date. These records will be filed with the minutes. I have been appointed to act as Inspector of Elections. I have signed an oath to carry out my duties with strict impartiality and in accordance with the best of my ability, which will be filed with the minutes of the meeting. As required by Roblox bylaws and Inspector of Election, I will ascertain the number of shares outstanding and the voting power of each, and determine the shares represented at the meeting, the validity of proxies and ballots, the count of all votes and ballots, and the final voting results, and I will certify those determinations for the meeting records. We have present in person, including those participating remotely or by proxy, holders of a majority of the voting power of shares issued and outstanding and entitled to vote at this meeting, which constitutes a quorum. Therefore, the meeting is duly constituted, and we may proceed with the business of the meeting. We will vote by proxy and in person electronically. The meeting platform is designed to verify the identity of each participating stockholder and proxy holder, and to give stockholders a reasonable opportunity to participate in the meeting, vote on the proposals, communicate during the meeting, and read or hear the proceedings as they occur. Each holder of Class A common stock is entitled to 1 vote for each share held of record at the close of business on the record date. Each holder of Class B common stock is entitled to 20 votes for each share held of record at the close of business on the record date. If you've already voted, no further action is needed. If you would like to vote now or change your vote, please click on the Vote My Shares tab on the top right of the screen and follow the instructions there. Stockholders who wish to submit a question during the meeting should click on the Questions tab at the top right of the screen, type your question into the text box, and then click the Submit button. Today's votes will be combined with those already received, and I will share preliminary results before we adjourn. It is 8:05 Pacific Time on May 28th, 2026, and the polls for each matter to be voted on at this meeting are now open. The first item of business is the election of directors. The company's board presently has 8 members and is divided into 3 classes, each with a 3-year term. There are 3 Class 1 directors, 3 Class 2 directors, and 2 Class 3 directors. As detailed in the proxy statement, the board has nominated David Baszucki, Gregory Baszucki, and Dennis Durkin to serve as Class 2 directors, all of whom are currently serving as directors. Because no additional nominations were submitted by stockholders in accordance with our bylaws, I declare the nominations closed. Election of each director requires a plurality of the votes cast, meaning the nominees who receive the largest number of votes cast for their election will be elected. Withheld votes, abstentions, and broker non-votes are not considered votes cast for a nominee and have no effect on the outcome. The board recommends a vote for each nominee, and all proxies solicited by the board will be voted in accordance with the instructions of the stockholder, provided that any proxies that were dated and signed without giving specific voting instructions will be voted in accordance with the board's recommendations. If you are voting on this proposal today, please ensure your vote is submitted now. The next item of business is an advisory vote to approve the compensation of our named executive officers. Approval of this proposal requires that the number of votes cast for the proposal exceed the number of votes cast against the proposal. Abstentions and broker non-votes are not considered votes cast and have no effect on the outcome. The board recommends a vote for this proposal, and all proxies solicited by the board will be voted in accordance with the instructions of the stockholder, provided that any proxies that were dated and signed without giving specific voting instructions for this proposal will be voted in accordance with the board's recommendation. If you are voting on this proposal today, please ensure your vote is submitted now. The next item of business is ratification of Deloitte & Touche LLP as our independent registered public accounting firm for the fiscal year ending December 31, 2026. Approval of this proposal requires that the number of votes cast for the proposal exceed the number of votes cast against the proposal. Abstentions and broker non-votes are not considered votes cast and have no effect on the outcome. The board recommends a vote for this proposal, and all proxies solicited by the board will be voted in accordance with the instructions of the stockholder, provided that any proxies that were dated and signed without giving specific voting instructions for this proposal will be voted in accordance with the board's recommendation. If you're voting on this proposal today, please ensure your vote is submitted now. I have confirmed there are no questions regarding the proposals. It is now 8:09 Pacific Time on May 28th, 2026, and the polls for each matter to be voted on at this meeting are now closed. No additional ballots, proxies, or votes, and no changes or revocations will be accepted. Based upon all the proxies and ballots received prior to commencement of the meeting, and subject to final adjustment of the numbers for any votes and proxies submitted here today, I can tell you that with regard to Proposal 1, the 3 Class 2 nominees, David Baszucki, Gregory Baszucki, and Dennis Durkin, received the largest number of votes cast for such nominees. Each of them has therefore been reelected as a director of the company to hold office until the 2029 Annual Meeting of Stockholders. With regard to Proposal 2, the advisory vote for the compensation of our named executive officers has been approved because the number of votes cast for the proposal exceeded the number of votes cast against the proposal. With regard to Proposal 3, the ratification of the independent registered public accounting firm for fiscal 2026 has been approved because the number of votes cast for the proposal exceeded the number of votes cast against the proposal. The final results of voting will be reported on a Form 8-K to be filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission within 4 days of the meeting. As Inspector of the Elections, I will execute a certificate setting forth the results of voting, which shall be filed with the minutes of this meeting. There being no further business to come before the formal portion of the meeting, it is now adjourned. Now we would like to open things up with stockholder questions and comments. As a reminder, should you wish to submit a question during the meeting, please click on the Questions button to the right of your screen, type your question into the text box, then click the Submit button. Please note that we will only address those questions that are pertinent to the business of the meeting. Since no questions have been submitted, I will turn the meeting back over to Dave.
Thank you all for attending today's meeting and for the interest you have shown in Roblox Corporation. We very much appreciate your attendance, and as always, thank you for your support.
This concludes the 2026 Annual Meeting of Stockholders of Roblox Corporation. You may now disconnect. Thank you.